Cam Rogers here, taking a look at the Steelers preseason profile and looking back to the offseason additions and their first-round selection. Let's start things off with Mr. Morgan Burnett. I think that's a fantastic ad for Pittsburgh. Jon Bostic could be a stopgap option for the interior of that linebacking core, and perhaps the Steelers sit in great shape in the secondary. But drafting Terrell Edmunds in the first round was a real head-scratcher for me, considering he plays the same position as Morgan Burnett. So for Pittsburgh to make that selection there, it kind of had me wondering why. But the Steelers overall this past offseason were fairly quiet. Now, we're going to take a look at the losses here, and Martavis Bryant could be really addition by subtraction, to be honest with you, trading him away during the draft time. Chris Hubbard is no longer around, and losing Mike Mitchell and William Gay, for example, not the worst things in the world either, but an offseason grade of D+. I wasn't a fan of the Steelers draft, and I have no idea who's going to be the Mike linebacker for Pittsburgh and who's going to create sacks outside of Cam Hayward and a sprinkle of TJ Watt. So overall for Pittsburgh, looking back at the offseason, D+, are they still an elite team? Absolutely. So you can't misconstrue the offseason grade to long-term prognostications for Pittsburgh. They're still a Super Bowl contender, just the offseason was underwhelming, shall we say. All right, so for the preseason here, let's take a look at the schedule. Philadelphia to kick things off, then at Lambeau in Week 2, against the Titans in Week 3, and then they take on the Carolina Panthers in Week 4. So with that, let's take a look at the dress rehearsal game, Tennessee and Pittsburgh, and the major question, Le'Veon Bell. It sure sounds like he's not going to be showing up in this game, and maybe it's an opportunity for some other running backs on the depth chart to impress Pittsburgh. Looking at James Conner and Jalen Samuels, if one of them impresses in the preseason, that puts a lot of pressure on Le'Veon Bell. And with that, it could be an audition for 2019, to be honest with you, with the rumors swirling that Le'Veon Bell could waltz into free agency and sign elsewhere. Plus, Juju Smith-Schuster, is he going to make that next step? He was really impressive last season. So what's going to happen in 2018? We could see a little hint of it in this Week 3 matchup. Let's take a look at the training camp storylines, and of course it's Le'Veon Bell. Is he going to show up? All indications are he will not. Of course, the franchise tag deadline has passed. No long-term deal was going down. Really, if you look at the past rumors, there was no indications that any sort of extension was going to happen. The negotiations did not go very well. And so for Le'Veon Bell, did they mess this up, not giving him a long-term deal? I've been very harsh on GM Kevin Colbert here, saying that you totally botched this situation. You should have paid Le'Veon Bell. Now you're on pretty much a one-year rental with this guy because he's going to go into free agency and get paid by the Raiders or the Colts or some team that has a lot of salary cap space. So I think it was a major mistake for Pittsburgh. Weigh in on this situation, folks, in the comments section. Next up, Bud Dupree. Is he going to improve? It's his year story for Bud Dupree heading into his 4th season. Former first-round selection. He did not play very well last year. He was the 98th ranked edge rusher according to Pro Football Focus. So they need Bud Dupree to step up big time if you want the Pittsburgh Steelers to get any sort of return on their investment here, as they drafted him back in the 2015 draft. So a lot of pressure on Bud Dupree to perform for Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, how is the secondary sorted out now? They have Morgan Burnett. Edmunds is in town. I'm thinking maybe Pittsburgh could utilize a lot of 3 safety looks here. Get creative with the secondary, but in terms of a base look, Hayden is your corner, Burns is your corner, and then you got Burnett and Sean Davis as your safeties. You see Edmunds as a guy to watch for. Sensabaugh provides some depth, and Allen is a hard hitter as well. So, you look past, 2015 and 2016 and 2017. Those seasons were just okay in the secondary. This year, I think it's going to be really, really good for Pittsburgh. So I'm excited to see what this depth chart really will pan out as. And Joe Hayden, I guess the change of scenery really helped him going from Cleveland to Pittsburgh there. All right, let's take a look at the regular season schedule here and the first half of the season. At Cleveland against the Chiefs, then you got the Bucs. There's Baltimore on Sunday night. then Atlanta, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and then Baltimore again. Not really that bad of a schedule. I see maybe 3 losses maximum, probably just 2. And then the second half of the year, way more difficult. Carolina, Jacksonville, Denver, and the Chargers. The Steelers could legit lose every single game in that window. Then you got the Raiders, the Patriots, at the Saints, and then wrapping things up against the Cincinnati Bengals. In terms of Super Bowl 53 hopes for Pittsburgh, plus 1,000 odds there. My prediction, they will win the AFC North. This will continue to be Pittsburgh's division as long as Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown are in town. And that is the case, we think, for 2018 here. So AFC North, it's all theirs. I think they go ahead and be a big-time factor in the AFC playoffs. The Baltimore Ravens, I think, will also be a factor for that division, though, so keep that in mind. Where will the Steelers finish in the AFC North? Let me know in comments. I want to hear from you guys. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/chatsportstv.